Hi, my name's Laura Kemshall. I'm going to be exhibiting at Festival of Quilts this summer. I'm really looking forward to that. To kind of get the ball rolling, the organisers have invited me to pop on here and talk to you a little bit about my work that I'm going to be showing and just to answer a few questions. They sent me a little list of questions over to kind of give me something to talk about, I suppose. It seems a bit formal. I'm probably just going to chat to you because I'm not very good at this sort of thing of answering questions. I'm really delighted that they've invited me back for the 20th anniversary. They reminded me that I was there at the very first show, which I'd quite forgotten. That's where I had my first solo show. So it seems quite fitting to be back for the 20th year, although a little bit scary to think we've been doing this for 20 years, don't you think? Now, one of the questions they kind of asked me to talk about is about how Festival over the years, those 20 years, has been quite memorable for me. And I think actually it's been really important in my career when you can take a stand back and you can look and you can think about the important things that you have done in your career. And I think a lot of them have happened at Festival because they enabled me to show the work that I wanted to show. So they were always so accommodating when I would come up with a little bonkers idea that they would let me do it. Because when you enter an open competition, which I had my solo show the first year, but then throughout many of the other years I would enter the open competitions because I think that's a fantastic opportunity. And you would fill in the form and it would say, has your quilt got any special hanging requirements? And sometimes I'd have to go onto a separate sheet because they were just so awkward. And they never once said no. They always said, we'll find a way, we will help you, we will enable you to do this. So a long time ago I showed some quilts that were entirely freestanding, that stood into space. They let me do that. I had quilts that had big bits that's kind of swung out, ones that were attached to the wall and then they curved round into the room. I've shown things that have got spiky nails that stuck out. The most recent one that I suppose was tricky was I wanted to make this landscape quilt, and the idea was that it would be a panorama, and I wanted the viewer to really feel like they belonged in the landscape. So the idea was that I would make the quilt be really big, so it had scope, and then the wall would curve, so that when you stood in front of it, you'd be able to see the size of it in your peripheral vision. So they were really good. They built me a curved wall so I could show this quilt. And that was really amazing because the quilt would have been okay on a flat wall, but it was really good on a curved wall, and there was nowhere else that I could have ever hoped to have done that. So I do owe a lot of gratitude actually to Festival of Quilts and to the team behind the show who build the show, because they really have enabled me to show the work that I want to show. And I think as an artist that's really important because you need a showcase, you need a platform for your work. And for me that's what Festival has always been. It's been a point in the calendar that I could work towards, and I could come up with an idea. I could do the hard work on making it, and I knew that they would back me in getting it out there and being able to show it. So that was really exciting. One of the questions on this list that the organisers have sent me says, for this year's special 20th anniversary festival, you're bringing a solo exhibition, Everything We Are, which you've described as, here we go, an illustration of everything that can't be said in words or out loud. And then they say, can you tell us a bit more about it? And you think, well, just told you it can't be described in words and out loud, and now you're asking me to do it. And you think, oh God, you're coming across as a bit of a, oh, idiot. But the work really, this idea of everything we are, it's a portrait, and because it's me who's made it, it's kind of a self-portrait, because me being the maker, I have to do work that I have some knowledge and experience of, so it has to be about me, although it feels a bit self-indulgent to say it. But so I guess it's a self-portrait, but without really there being much about my face, because I don't think that that's the most important thing. You're not going to rock up to the exhibition and see loads of my faces. That would be scary. There are some actual portraits in it that you can just see behind me. I'll talk about that a bit more later on. But really, everything we are, it's more than what you look like. Everything that makes you is all of the other stuff. It's not about your face at all. It's about where you live. So that's really important to me. It might not be that maybe doesn't matter to everybody else, but where I live, the landscape, the environment, I feel like I'm really part of that place, and I feel that it has a big impact on me. And then other things that make you who you are, it's your friends and family, isn't it? So in this set of work, there's a lot of family references, and it's been a lot about finding that your place in the family, where you are in that family. In terms, probably, I think of like this idea of generations. I think every family has it, don't you? You have this like pathway of generations and these key people in your family, and the idea of passing down of knowledge and ideas, yes, but also personality traits, those sorts of things. And you think, God, you don't have to take after your mother. That idea of, I've got this piece of work that's brewing in the back of my mind, which I really hope I can get ready before the show. This idea, it's called Hand Me Down, is what I've called it. If you've got a title first, you're good, I think the work will be good if you've already got the title. So I've got the title, nothing else at the moment, but I've called it Hand Me Down. And it's this idea that in my family at the moment, there are 4 generations of women that I'm part of. And this idea that between the 4 of us, there's huge similarities in terms of personality, but especially in terms of creativity and knowledge, and how we operate as people, how we learn, how we make things. And I think that is really a strong connection that we have through these generations. So that's something that I'm exploring. But yeah, everything we are, it's also about things that you love, the objects that you treasure, all these things that make us what we are, the music that you listen to, the books that you read. That's all that describes you, isn't it? It's not so much what you actually look like. So that's why it's a little bit hard to say, what's this all about? And you think, well, it's about everything. It's not really about one specific, it's about everything that we are. But especially it's about these kind of lived experiences that I think we all go through, we've all been through. And this is the really tricky thing, because it's not about the tangible things. It's about all these moments that weave in between all of that other stuff. And that's what it's really about. So anyway, I hope that you will come and see it and enjoy seeing it. Now, on this list of questions, there's a couple that refer to the fact that I work really closely with my mom, Linda. I'm sure you know her. And it's true, we've worked together for over 20 years, both on our separate art careers and also together with our teaching. We've taught online for a very long time now. But people are always fascinated to know, you always get asked, what's it like working with your mother? Or Lynn gets, what's it like working with your daughter? And I think people, they're really intrigued. They perhaps assume that we work together all the time in each other's pockets, and that's not true. We both have a very separate studios. We probably couldn't work in the same studio because we both, although we have very similar loves and passions, and we like a lot of the same art, we don't actually work in the same way. I enjoy a certain level of creative chaos that Linda doesn't. So I think if we had to share a studio, she'd probably spend most of the time clearing up after me because she couldn't tolerate the mess. But yeah, people always want to know what your creative difference is. What have you ever had a big falling out? No, it's not as dramatic as that. I make a mess, it would drive her mad. But we both like our separate space as well. So yeah, there's no big drama there to talk about. People always assume that there's going to be. But what I do think is interesting is coming back to this idea of the generations and how you learn from the people that have come from you. So I'm very grateful for everything that my mother told me, and I'm very mindful that I pass that knowledge, but also really the most important thing is that enthusiasm and that love for art and for making down to my daughter as well. So I think that's the most important thing about the working relationship that we've had over all these years. It's that, again, it's about enabling. So like at Festival of Quilts, that's given me a platform to make the work that I want to make. Working with my mom and with other, the encouragement of other people in my family, it's made me feel like I can do this. I can believe in myself and I can achieve and make this work. And that is, you need that belief, that backing to be able to do that. So I think that's really important. I think that's mostly what you get out of that close working relationship. It's that support that you get, that somebody actually really believes in you. So there's more questions on this sheet, which I should probably answer, but you know what? I'm going to finish up by just showing you the quilt that's on the wall behind me, because I think that'll give you the best flavour of what you can expect to see when you come to my exhibition. So if I move out of the way, you'll see that it's quite a large quilt here. There's more of it that extends down there that's off camera, which is just white at the moment. Now, it kind of looks like it's finished because it's fully quilted. Even the binding is on. So technically it's ready, but at this point to me it just feels like, I'm going to say a blank canvas, which seems a bit weird because there's quite a lot going on it already, but there's some sections that really are a blank canvas, and I've stitched it very heavily with machine stitching, so it gives you that sort of very smooth but slightly textured thing that you would get with a canvas, which is going to enable me to paint and draw on top of it. So there's going to be other elements that will be added to this, which you're going to have to wait and see on those. I'm going to keep some surprises back, but I'll talk to you about this little middle section here, which is hopefully, I think, fully resolved. And this is the closest that you're really going to get to an actual portrait when you come and see my exhibition. It's half self-portrait. I did this half, and then the other half was drawn by my daughter when she was 5. And I thought it was fun that you'd have this idea, you know, this whole thing about a self-portrait and everything that we are. It's partly how you see yourself, but really it's about how other people see you, isn't it? So I thought it'd be quite fun. I said to her, I'm going to draw one half of me and then you do the other half of me. And that is what the result was. And it just made me smile. I just thought it was so amusing, so charming. Children's drawings just have this just delightful quality to them, don't they? So we did that, like I say, about 5 years ago. It's been waiting for its moment, and I've scanned it. So the drawing, the original, it's a monoprint drawing, was originally done on paper, and then I've scanned it and I've digitally printed it, made it much bigger and printed it to fabric, and then I've stitched it. So, and then on this section here, you can see a bit more of a colourful section. These are all more of her drawings that I've been saving, again, for their special moment. These ones, I think she did these when she's about 3. She's 10 now. So you can tell I've been saving them and keeping them ready for this piece. But it's this whole idea of finding yourself in a family and this real strong feeling of generations and generational learning, and the idea of passing down creativity through the generations. That is really important to this. So yeah, I've included drawings from when she was really little to ones that she's done more recently. I just thought that would be kind of fun to build this whole the idea of this exhibition, I suppose, to create this rounded picture of this life that I live, and that's a really important part of it. So really special to me that I've been able to put those into that quilt. So I hope you enjoy that little tiny taster of what you might see. I have a lot more to share with you in August, so I do hope that you will come and see the exhibition. In the meantime, if you'd like to follow along with what I'm doing, you'll find me on Instagram at Laura Kemshall, and also I have a website, laurakemshall.co.uk. So thanks very much for sharing the time with me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.